The intro.
Running around, gaining some ground, making a sound. How you like that? Yeah.
And we're live. Welcome to another episode of On Point Live with Saadi.makhdoom. I'm your host. I am here with another special guest. Today's guest is somebody that has helped tremendous amount of people throughout their journey in, helping find the meaning, the purpose, and also staying consistent in these journeys to achieving and also accomplishing their biggest dreams. A lot of time the biggest reason for us not to achieve our dreams is our self-belief, our inner conversations, and also what we do in the self conversation and the self talks that we're having in our daily lives. Today's guest is Jacqui Crutchley from Mastery. She's also instructor for Mental Health Ireland. That's her day job. At after that, she usually is a superhero, helping other people achieve their goals, their dreams, helping us all fly. And I am honored to have Jacqui today with us. How are you doing, Jacqui?
Oh, Matt,
Welcome to the show.
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time and everybody else's time when they listen to this, because yes, if we can make just small changes. I don't know if you've read the book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, but
I have actually gone through the summary of that. It's like the podcast generation. I've actually gone through a lot of different points, but I've tried implementing a few. Having a morning routine being one of the things that I've taken from that book.
very, very important. Yeah. Well, as he says, I mean, it's small little incremental steps that get you to the big achievements. And that is one of the little things that if you just take one thing away from this podcast today is just do something on a regular basis that you want to change, but do the baby steps. And as he says in there, you can miss one day, but 2 days becomes a habit. So don't miss it twice. Do it every day.
Exactly. And, I've loved that example of, building powerful habits. Most of us, as we're just ending, we're just beginning, the 1st of February, we've just done a powerful month of February. Most of us throughout the Januaries will fizzle out of your New Year's resolutions. We will tick mark, we are going to join the gym, but it's about the consistency. If it's not about joining the gym, it's actually going and visiting the gym throughout the year, and how many times you do that will enable you to be physically fit. And that's what we're mostly going to be talking about. Jacqui, I am actually very thankful, and I wanted to appreciate taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know that you've had back-to-back meetings before this, and definitely you'll be going after a couple of other things that you have to close. I wanted to talk about putting well-being first. One of the conversations that we've had throughout COVID pandemic has been a big realization, not just for us individually, but also the entire world. How companies think, how employers think, how employees think about their well-being. We've realized that we were shown a very complete different reality through this pandemic. How we have seen our loved ones suffer. We've seen ourselves react to different possibilities, and how we should now start planning for the future, because this is just the beginning of a whole new world, and full of possibilities and opportunities as well. So I've seen that a lot of people have had conversations about well-being, but over here today we're going to just discover a new realm or deeper dive into different sections of your own well-being. And I wanted us to discover that with none other than Jacqui on this show. And that's why I wanted to first explain your entire journey throughout your career, how you have helped people achieve their own dreams. How important has been well-being, the aspect of well-being, or the variable of well-being?
Well, Mac, thank you for that question, because it's so very important that you get to that point in your life where you realize, and unfortunately what happens is that we get to that brick wall, or something happens when we start to think, oh, I'm sick, I've been diagnosed with something, or I've lost my job, or something major happens where you have to make a decision. And it shouldn't have to be that. You should get to realizing, as you said earlier, the opportunities and possibilities. For me, every month, I look at the first of every month and I think, what are the opportunities for this 28-day month? On the first, of the next month. And just to go back to your New Year's resolutions, 98% of everybody who on 31 days ago said, I'm going to do this, have now dropped away and are not doing it. Why is there a Blue Monday on the 15th of January? Because 98% of people do not carry on. But why don't they carry on? Because it's not something that they feel a burning desire to achieve, or it's something that they really, really want. So when it comes to your mental well-being, you have to look at those aspects where you have to incorporate into your day those little things that are going to make you feel better. I talk about topping up your tank, and I use the analogy of the oxygen mask when you're getting on an airplane. Why do they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first? Because you'll be no good to anybody else if you can't breathe, right?
Yes.
And that's exactly the same with your mental well-being. You are no help to anybody else if your mental well-being is not in a great place, if your tank is not topped up. And unfortunately, it happened to me also. I was one of those people bumbling along, driving from Leash into Dublin every day, 70 kilometers in, 70 kilometers out, absolutely hating my job. Why was I doing it? Because it was a pensionable job. And I got to the point where it was just a case of, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's not good for my mental well-being. And I stepped away from that corporate job. And that's where I changed. And I thought, what is it that I'm going to be able to help people with? Now, I do have a training background, and my whole life was in training and development, human resources. But I wanted to do something that I could use those skills, but I could make a difference. And that is where I went and studied mental health, mental well-being, mental health in the workplace. And to start to realize, and then the pandemic obviously hit, and mental health has been a big thing. People have been hugely affected by the uncertainty, and the uncertainty of what's happening with COVID, the uncertainty about if they've got a job or if they haven't got a job. Now, there's a lovely layer in Ireland that are in those corporate jobs who were protected, and either you took a bit of a pay cut, but you still had a job. But there's a big percentage of the population who don't have a job right now. And we've got to think out, how can we help them with their mental health and mental well-being also,
Yeah. I really love that, filling up your own tank, because I love that analogy, because a lot of time people don't realize that when you go out to help others, before understanding that you need to help yourself first, you might find yourself in a situation where you're not any help to anybody, not yourself or the others. And I really wanted to take that point from taking that step back and realizing that you need to fight for your own dreams and desires, because having a corporate job, driving to a job every Monday morning, it's a very popular research. A lot of motivational speakers quote that most of the heart attacks happen to people on Mondays, going to the jobs that they really have hated throughout their lives. And that is, yeah, and that is exactly, but still people would not find that courage, that small inner conversation that they can have with themselves to find an opportunity, at least try. Because this is something that I have always saying, like, it's better to have rejections than have regrets. It's just trying to tap into what possibilities might be there. It was a lovely quote that I wrote. Somebody shared it on our LinkedIn profile. It was mother bird saying to the little birdie that is complaining to the mama, and she says, "Mama, what if I fall?" And the birdie replies saying, "Darling, what if you fly?" That is the kind of conversations we need to have. But beautifully said. And I think this is a really, really good time for people to understand that I know that all of us have now discovered, but the reality is this, that everybody has a different reality. It's a different experience that you're going through. Maybe the same pandemic for some, but there are different segments to everyone's lives. to every country has had a different experience to pandemic. Every family has had a different experience to pandemic, and that's where being mindful and also being prepared in a scenario like this would always be beneficial for people that want to make the most, or at least be ready for what is about to come next, or how you can prepare to be stronger against situations like these.
Mm.
uh, we try and dissect our well-being into first the physical aspects of it, like some of the habits that link with our well-being. They can be activities, what we consume during the day, or what we're doing, like actions. And then we can go into other deeper questions. But I wanted you to deep dive into how connected is your physical actions, like what you eat, what you consume, and also what are the actions that you're taking throughout the day with your well-being. Because a lot of people don't realize this. They've been doing this one thing throughout their lives, expecting different results.
Yeah.
It's just complete chaos in their planning, that they don't understand how connected is your habitual aspect of things with the things that are happening to you at the back, because most of it is a consequence of what you're doing with your body, physically or mentally.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you have to look at your time you spend looking after yourself, and what are the little things that you do. And a lot of the time people come to me and they say, I'm absolutely burnt out, I don't know what to do. And I say to them, are you making time for yourself? I don't have time. I've got kids, I've got a partner, I've got a job, I've got to juggle all of that. But none of that can happen if you're not looking after yourself. So, when it comes to depression and looking at things, and when people struggle with depression, we know that exercise is a brilliant way to try and help your mental well-being against depression. So let's look at exercise. How much exercise are you actually getting in a day or even a week? Are you making time for that walk? And all it is a walk. And we know that 10,000 steps a day can hugely improve your mental well-being. 10,000 steps, and we could do that around the house, or we could go for a walk, even if it's on the road. And what are you eating? Are you having those regular meals, or do you sit in front of the TV or sit in front of your laptop with a meal? Now, I don't think there's one employer on the planet who actually expects that. And if they do, they're not worth working for, quite frankly. And you should evaluate that. If you're sitting there sending emails while you're eating, you're not doing it intuitively. So you're not even thinking about what you're shoveling down your face, and you're definitely not doing it mindfully. Two of the bigger aspects about your mental well-being, mindfulness.
Totally.
So, and when you go out for the walk, or when you are driving in your car, I used to remember having to get in the car 2 minutes to the hour so that I could listen to the news, so that I could be bombarded by that negative energy. And I look at it now, I will not play the news. Once a day, maybe, but you know what? Everybody else will tell me what's going on in the world. I just was on a call earlier where the woman said, do you know what's happening with Joe Rogan? I was like, no, I have no idea what's going on, and I don't care. For me, that reaction to what's going on is not worth the energy that people are putting into it. Yes, I'll know about it. Sooner or later, someone will tell you what's going on in the world. Does it affect you? No. Can Joe Rogan affect me? Not today. So why must I get bogged down by that? So I would far rather listen to a podcast that's got some helpful information on it than listen to the deaths in COVID, quite frankly.
That is so powerful. I love that. I would want to come back to this, because this is something that someone who has recovered from depression and has now been mindful over the last 3 years in setting those support functions. Everyone that I've met that has recovered through some kind of trauma or a state like that, has actively worked on decreasing the amount of news that they consume. And that's something that I've seen that a lot of people don't do. We've had the last decade of evolving social media content coming to the platforms, but it's constant bombardment of us having the first 1 decade learning about these technologies, and just click a lot of follow on different news media, different channels, what I'm reading on tweets. I've been very mindful, and I've seen others do that as well, taking their own social media audits, like on a monthly or quarterly basis. What have I subscribed to?
Yeah.
What is what I'm getting from that kind of subscription? Am I getting something positive? Am I just getting social media envy out of that person that I'm following? Am I just comparing them to me and then always looking down on myself? But
Correct.
if that relationship is not positive, it's always good to disconnect. If it's not giving you something in return, it's easier, it's better to disconnect, because it doesn't matter if it's trending globally. Joe Rogan and that news might not affect me positively in any way, shape, or form today. And
Yeah.
it's better to consume something worthwhile that affects me and puts me in a positive mindset. Very well said, Jacqui.
Raises my energy. I want to be able to raise my energy to a level that I can give to other people also. So why must I let that outside negative influence bring me down? And then that's another big learning point that I have in the Thinking into Results program. We specifically look at external validations, not letting those likes affect you. And that's working very much on your inner self esteem. So as human beings, we have two levels, an inner self-esteem and that outer self-confidence. And I absolutely love this lesson, because so many people realize, I've got this, yes, what people see, but inside I'm absolutely dying, and I can't say, this, and I don't have the confidence to say anything to anybody. But when we marry the two and we actually bring it up and build that inner self-esteem, that affects our finances, our relationships, the jobs that we do. And it's so vitally important that that is the root cause to so much that's going on in your life. And to realize that,
Yeah, no, that is very well said. I love how we've just touched the first point of what we're doing physically, the actions that we're doing. I've also seen that the kind of food that has now, because we're seeing a massive embarrassment of social media food videos, where people are actually sharing and liking and commenting on things that they want to try, but they're all about all fatty food, may it look amazing but not be the healthiest out there. Then we have food options that are always present, easily available, and then you have to make an effort to get something organic, something that you have to cook your own self. There's always like the harder way and the simple way, but looking at food options as well, how important is the food that goes into your system, and how well connected is that with our well-being?
So important. Once again, it's on an energy scale for me, the energy. First of all, when people say to me, I'm too busy to cook, there's so many simple recipes that you can spend the time. And once again, what I do when I'm preparing dinner is I actually listen to a podcast, or listen to binaural beats. I don't know if you've ever heard, so many times I say I listen to binaural beats and people don't know what it is. But once again, it's a separate frequency that helps produce the serotonin in your brain. So serotonin is one of the happy chemicals that your brain actually needs, and not the unhappy chemicals. So when you're in constant fight, flight, or freeze mode, your body is producing adrenaline or cortisol. And unfortunately, those two, you may need it when you're fighting against the lions in Africa, okay? But in Ireland, we don't have any. We don't even have the snakes. So what we need to do is temper that down and not cause that fight, flight response all the time. And unfortunately, even when we go to work, we have that, I've got to deal with my boss. That's fighting. That's adrenaline pumping through your body, which is causing disease in your body. And when you go to work and you feel like, wow, I can't wait for this day, that's the happy hormones, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and the endorphins that you need. So going back to your question of food, sorry, I went off on it is so vitally important to put the healthier food into your body, to feed your body with the right sort of stuff. Once again, it's improving that mental well-being. And physical activity, your eating habits, so your sleep hygiene, your eating habits, and then your physical exercise is so important. 3 key elements then to well-being, mental well-being.
Mm-hmm. And looking at, you mentioned like the sleep hygiene. We have this small disease or device called cell phones. Um, we take it everywhere now, because I think over the last 4 or 5 years, there was news spreading when Yahoo, almost like 7 years ago, had their newest CEO join. The first thing the lady did was give new laptops and cell phones to all the staff members. And that news went viral, not understanding that it was not for the benefit of the employees. It's just to access those employees at every place that they'll be. So, looking at that example, how, because I've seen that people don't realize that if you pick up this phone at the middle of the night to look at that notification, then go back to sleep, that is not, giving you the amount of deep sleep that a body requires for you to heal and be ready the next day. I've had people that don't even know in reality what insomnia is, but that's a cool phrase that everybody has caught up from the internet, and everybody now I know has some form of insomnia. They're like, oh, we can't sleep. I always have nothing to do at night and I'm not sleepy, and that's why I pick up the phone. Uh, and I've seen that there are people that make very deliberate decisions of not taking the phone into their bedrooms,
Yeah.
and they lock it up or something like that. And they would not even, after a week or two, after they've built that
Yeah.
habit,
Mm.
find it necessary for them to have their phones in their bedrooms. How important is sleep hygiene compared to, and how can one try a simple tip or technique to avoid taking your phones to disturb their sleeps? What are the
Well,
few ways that you'll do that? Because you being a parent as well, I think definitely would have seen this in your daily life. How do you conquer that?
well, it's a difficult one. It really is very difficult, but it takes discipline. And then once again, thinking about the levels of awareness, discipline is that part where you give yourself a command, just like a habit. If you wanted to change a habit, if I wanted to go to the gym on a more regular basis, or I wanted to release some weight, I have to stick to certain rules and regulations, right? And be disciplined with myself. So that's the same with the phone. And when it switches off at 10 o'clock, mine goes into sleep mode. And 99% of the time, I try and avoid it completely until my alarm. So whether my alarm is 5:30, 6:30, or 7, then I can pick up the phone. But once again, that discipline as to not having to check what's the messages, how many likes have I got? Really? That's not important. So all you're doing by switching on the phone and checking likes is putting yourself back into that frame of mind of lack, limitation, old beliefs and old programming, where you got up in the morning. For me, I get up in the morning and the first thing that comes to mind are my animals. I get outside and I go and feed the chickens and the kittens and all of that and the dogs. That's what I do first thing in the morning. I don't even want to look at my phone. So but it gets to that. I used to be that person, pick it up, have a look at it. Who liked my Facebook post? Who did that? What's happening in the world? No more, but it's a discipline. And it's a hard one, but it's one of those choices that we have to make. And we've got to realize each and every one of us, it's about choices we make. And our results are a direct impact of the choices we make. So if you want to make changes, look at your results. Are you happy with your finances? Are you happy with your relationships? Are you happy with your health? And your mental well-being is part of that, physical and mental health. So where do you want to make those changes? What are the rules? And you have to start small. Unfortunately, it is baby steps, but baby steps gets you to those quantum leaps. So yes, phones are not a good idea. Researchers told us that. Do we listen? Not always. But if you're not sleeping at night, those are the results. I'm not sleeping at night. Make the changes, because you're the only one who can do that.
Yeah, that's very powerful. Thanks for sharing that. One thing that you mentioned, like, small baby steps to the quantum leap. I've seen that discipline plays a big part. Developing that kind of courage takes a big part as well. But I've seen that the inner conversations play a massive role,
Mm,
because it is one of these things why the inner conversations don't allow us to take mental health as important as a
mm,
flesh wound. I've
mm,
never seen anyone ever have a flesh wound and not rush to the hospital. But I've had people that visibly would know my best friend, myself, or somebody in my very close circles would need mental health, support,
yeah.
and they would try and just push that to the last minute
Of,
or till something happens of that side.
mm,
We've come a long way, because I think we're having a lot of these conversations in today day and age in
mm,
workplaces. The leaders of today are talking about not just their own well-being, also the well-being of the people that they work with and how they can support them. But how do you find that kind of courage within yourself, and what kind of conversations are those that we should have with each other, maybe in our morning routines, some practices that will allow you to take this as important as a physical wound?
yeah. That's such a brilliant point there, Mac. People. Okay, so we have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts that run through our head every single day. 95% of them are going to be repetitive. It's going to be the same thing over and over again. And at least 90% of those thoughts are going to be negative, self-limiting beliefs. And it's those little things you say to yourself, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, why did I do that? And unfortunately, that is that negative self-talk that keeps bringing you down. So the first step is to become aware of what you say to yourself, and stop yourself from saying those really irrelevant, stupid things. So funny. I always used to ban the word stupid in my house. My children were never allowed to use it. But you do get to that point where you think, that was a really stupid thing to say to myself, and start changing the conversation you have with yourself. I have a book club on a Wednesday evening, and at the moment we're busy reading The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins.
Yes,
And
and
she
that's
gives
something on my
herself,
target.
yeah,
Amazing.
she
Yes.
gives herself that high five every single morning in the mirror, the first thing. So, and that sign, if I gave it to you, it would be giving you an accomplishment, giving you that, well done, you've done well. But when you do it to yourself, once again, it's that little bit of that dopamine high that you need. Instead of looking for the likes, the high five is that that hit that we really do need. And it's that little bit of encouragement to yourself. So even just that first start of saying, hey, Jacqui, hey, Mac, I've got this. Days are going to be difficult, and every day is a challenge to some people, but I can look at it in two different ways. One, it's going to be really difficult today, or the universe has given me an opportunity here. How can I grow from it? And what am I going to learn? So, which way am I going to go? I want to go this is an opportunity and I want to learn. You can do this. And becoming aware of how many times a day you're saying to yourself, you can do this, well done, even if it's a pat on the back. I think high five or pat on the back are those two little things that you can do to step forward.
No, I love that. I think I'm glad that you picked up and mentioned the Mel Robbins book for High Five Habits, because that is something that I've believed in this throughout my
Mhm.
life. I've seen that the most important form of motivation is self motivation.
Yeah.
You cannot always rely on external factors to come motivate you or give you the positive vibes. If it comes from within, it is yours to keep. It will stay with you throughout your life. But that is seriously serious. And the amount of research done in that book is amazing. And I would really want you to share, a bit more about that book club for people who are interested
Oh, I
to
love
join,
that.
because there are so many people who would love to go through a book with a community, because everybody would go through the same book but might have a different experience altogether. Well,
Well, that's the whole
yeah.
reason I started this book club, is because I can read a book and I can get my level of awareness out of it and my understanding from it.
Mhm.
But so my book club is a book club with a difference. We actually read the book to you. So it's not
Okay.
one of those traditional book clubs where you've got to go off and read the book and come back, because How many people do that? And I know I was part of one that you didn't read the book, you enjoyed the wine on the one evening, okay? So you can have wine on my book club, it's perfectly okay, but we read the book to you. And we spend, it's a Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock Irish time. And we basically, in Mal's book, we're probably getting through a bit of chapter and a little bit of the next chapter, but we discuss it. So we'll stop at some point and say, I didn't understand that, or wow, that is such a great idea. So we did Atomic Habits this way, and that was a fabulous learning as to how to stack habits, how to put them in place, how to not skip for
Wow.
2 days, okay? And then, so the beginning of this year, we decided on the high five habit. And so it's on a Wednesday evening. It's free to join. I'd love people to join. We're starting chapter 4 tomorrow night. I think it is chapter 4. So we're not far into it. And
for everybody that is listening, right after this, I'll connect with Jacqui, and I'll get that link. I'll share that on all the posts where this is being broadcasted. And we will get you all linked there, and you guys can connect with Jacqui, because that is fabulous. Because I realize, like, if you go through the book, because I'm also not a believer of going through 100 books this year.
Yeah.
It's better that you consume 5 books, but you take the. I was listening to another interview that you did where you spoke about shelf help. And I loved that point. That was so amazing, because I've had people that go through the same books as I would, but I would start implementing 1, 2, something from that book in my daily life. And they'll say, oh yeah, it's like, I loved it. Nothing happened.
yeah.
So I'm not sure, like, if, you go through the high five habits, and all of a sudden you will, in your dreams start getting high fives from Mel Robbins or somebody else, but you need to do the action. At the end of the day, it's you who will take these actions that will take you the long journey. It has always, been amazing to have these conversations, because I personally did not know about the book club, but I'm glad that you mentioned this, and I'll also try my best to, join a few and, share that experience with my community.
Awesome. I love that.
Jacqui, with this, because you're doing so many multiple things, I want you to take a step towards sharing your story, your journey from being, just employed, working on a 9-to-5 job, and then taking action and building those communities, building those, plans for yourself. And I personally see your story as taking control back from life, because there are 2 kinds of people in this world. One who will say that life is controlling me and the factors around me are controlling me. And then there are the 2% of the people that you mentioned that would not jump out of the New Year's resolution, that would decide that I will make sure that my factors, my life is under my control.
Yeah.
And it will always be in my control. Can you share about your amazing story from, what you were facing, like driving 1 or 2 hours from Leash all the way to Dublin and then back, and to the point where you're at right now?
Okay, well, thank you. So, yeah, I must say, parts of me feel I've lived a very privileged life. As you can hear, I'm working on my Leash accent. I keep joking about that because I'm originally from South Africa. I spent 14 years in the Middle East, living in Dubai and working all around the Gulf. I got opportunities to work in Iran, which I absolutely loved, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman. So I really did travel. I didn't get to Pakistan, which is unfortunate. They wouldn't let me in there. So, so I always wanted to go. But I learned so much with all the different cultures and nationalities. And then I decided, okay, well, I needed to set up a home for my children and, a future. And my dad was from Ireland, so I got my Irish passport. So it was the next phase in my life to move to Ireland. And I loved it. I moved here to Leash, beautiful home set up for my children. But yes, I had to travel into Dublin, and I found myself taking a job that really wasn't me. It didn't fulfill me. I did it because it was a means to an end. You had to bring in that salary at the end of every month. There had to be that income. And yes, we get trapped. And that's that hamster wheel I talk about. We get trapped in that, got to do it every day, same thing, get up, go to work, sit on the M7. For those of you who don't know the M7, if this has been broadcast, it's a motorway from one part of the country to another, okay? And you sit in traffic and you listen to the news over and over, and you get to work and you're in that job that doesn't fulfill you. And you come home and you're ratty with the kids or you're ratty with your partner. Where does it go? And the next morning you get up again. So at one point I was asked to do a few things which I went against everything that I believe in and I said to myself, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this anymore. And I said to my husband at the time, I'm resigning. Anyway, you can't do that. You have to carry on working. We need the income. And I was like, I'll find something else. I honestly believe I'll find something else. And then I went to him and I said, actually, I need a whole lot of money to study the Proctor Gallagher Thinking into Results program. And he went, no ways. And I was like, it is something I really want to do. And he said to me, you could go to Trinity for less than that and get a proper degree. And I was like, I don't want to go to Trinity. This is my burning desire. This is what I want to do. I want to be able to help people. So I signed up for the program, and it was $30,000 that I had to fork out. And I said to Bob Proctor, I've got 5,000 euros in my getaway fund. And he laughed at me and he said, where are you going with 5,000 euros? And I was like, I know, it's stupid to think that 5,000 in your getaway fund. And, but I signed up. And you know what, Mac? In 7 months, I'd paid back that $30,000 and I've got it in my bank account today again. So the universe gives you opportunities, and that's where the mental health training kicked off. We started doing it online. I was fully booked to deliver the programs. I call them tribes that joined me to do the Thinking into Results program. And it's just taking those opportunities, as we said, and as we started this conversation, you look at opportunities and possibilities and you say, yes, please. And you start taking on the little signs that come to you and say, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I can do that. I want to do that. And put your heart and soul into it, and you're able to achieve it. And that's where I am today. I also went through major trauma when I resigned, thinking, what have I done? I can't do this. And it's hard to then think, I can get myself out of that, and pick yourself up every single day. There were days that I wanted to stay in bed, pull the duvet over your head and just stay there. But something gets you up. And that's something you need to really think about and say, that's what I want to be able to get me out of bed. And now when someone says to me, I'm so tired, I say, are you tired or just uninspired?
Yeah.
And when you ask yourself that question, and you answer it properly, you'll find 90% of the time you're uninspired. You're not doing something that fulfills you.
That is powerful. I'm really, really, that last sentence gave me goosebumps. And I think, people that are watching this or will be watching this later will have the similar experiences, because this is, it actually wraps up in a lot of people's, visibility for a small 3-minute, 4-minute, 5-minute story. But 7 months of transforming your life, there's a lot of setback. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of, hurdles, obstacles to be avoided. There's a lot of negativity that you go through to achieve that you have. There's no such thing as overnight success, because, it takes, how I've seen, a couple of people that really spend a decade working towards a dream, but when it accomplishes, when it finalizes, when it gets realized, people are like, oh, it just was a hit that you publish, and that's where things get off. No, it was 10 years of developing this hit single that they created, or the magic that happened through that one event that transformed their life. But it was 10 years in the making, and people need to realize that.
Isn't it messy that says it took me 35 years to become an overnight success. Was it him
Yeah.
who said
Definitely. And people need to realize that if you're not happy with other people achieving their dreams, there's hardly there's a massive part of you which is uninspired, as we're
yeah,
saying,
stop
because
comparing yourself to other
yeah,
people. Do it yourself. You're
exactly.
able. God gave us exactly the same talents and abilities. It's up to us to be able to master what we want,
Yeah,
So go out and do something. Take that little risk, because I promise you, if you're doing it with your intuition, you're really looking at the intuition, your gut feel that says to you. And I wanted to say this to you earlier, when you've got friends who are struggling, and the younger generation are actually talking about their mental health difficulties a lot more open than probably my generation compared to you.
exactly.
And that's a
Exactly.
thanks to social media. So there are some pluses, and this is it. We can't always diss social media because there are lots of pluses and advantages to it.
Yeah.
But, and using your intuition once again for yourself, but also for other people. If you think to yourself, I think Jacqui's struggling at the moment. She's not quite herself. Just step out and say, hey, are you okay? And they're probably going to push you away. But just, in your gut, something's not right. Please do me a favor and go back 1 or 2 or 3 times and say, I'm really concerned about you. Are you okay? Is your mental health okay? And just sit there and listen to them, because God gave you 2 of these and only 1 of these for a very good reason. Just be with someone.
That was profound. I really like to emphasize on that, because I'm somebody recovered from depression. I have a lot to give back to the people that came back and asked those questions that you just mentioned. If it wasn't for those people, I wouldn't have gotten up from that bed. And people don't realize this. It's better that we start asking these questions now when we have access, before it turns into regrets. I've seen, we've all seen, I wouldn't say that would be an understanding. We've all seen friends, family members go through much more. And
Yeah.
then we've all gone through that time in our life when we decide it's too late to go help someone out, because we took too much time. We asked so much, like, what if they get angry?
Let
Them
them.
get angry. Let them get angry. It's better if you allow them to, vent it out on you. If they can really just let that anger out and just be your best friend again. But
Correct.
be there. A lot of time, again, like, it's just about being there, asking that one question and just being silent.
Yeah.
Them just knowing that you're there and you're there to help them. Doesn't matter if they've had a good day, a bad patch, a bad day, or even the worst year of their life. If they know that there are 2 of their other best friends, their support structure, there to help them out, or at least just live through that tough experience with them, that's going to change that experience for them. It's just giving your shoulder, holding that hand, and just being there. My next and one of the final questions for you, Jacqui, would be, as we talk about support systems, there are people that are blessed to have that support system where they'll disappear and there will be somebody knocking down their door, bringing a pizza and like, hey, you didn't call, so I came in. So let's have, an hour or 2 of chat. How does one willingly build that support system before, going down that rabbit hole or finding yourself in a dark cave when a situation like that comes in your life? Because uh, I personally seen that it has been a lot more mindful after I came out of that state of life. But before that, I was just blessed to have people that would not listen to me even when I'm shouting at them. I just want to be left alone or something like that. If I don't show up, they'll come back searching for. How can people build a mindful practice around them to build that support structure?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, because most people don't like asking for help, and we let our egos in the way. And yeah, when people say, are you okay? Are you feeling all right? We reject them. But it's important to realize that mental health, your mental health, you can, one day you can be fine, and the next day something small can really affect you quite badly. But when someone does offer their help, go and get it. But there's lots of helplines also. So if you do find yourself in a place where you feel you've rejected everybody, all your help, reach out to a helpline. The Samaritans helpline, 116123 is the number. Please put that up, Mac, because that's so important to actually save that in your phone so that you're able to have that conversation with someone who's not going to judge you and will be there if you're not feeling well. So the Samaritans is a great helpline to have. Then the 50808 number is a texting service. It's the HSE's texting service. And all you say is hello. And a person will come back to you with, how are you? How are you feeling? So those are two important national resources that we can tap into if you feel that you've pushed too many of your closest, or you don't feel like speaking to your friends or family for that matter. Maybe family is the problem. So, reach out to one of the helplines.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the recovery model, and the recovery model that we use in mental health first aid is a 5-step process. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that is, when you're speaking to someone, just give them hope for recovery. Because with mental health difficulties and even a diagnosable mental illness, you can still live a very fulfilled life. So know that there's hope, and know that there's hope for recovery is very important. But personal responsibility, when you are not well, you have to take personal responsibility for that. You have to be able to say, I want to get better. I want to take the right steps, and ask for the support. When people offer it, take it and ask for support, and then educate yourself. Once you've got the diagnosis, do some research, find out where there are help, where there is the help for you, where there are the places to go, people to see, what services are out there. Because one of the issues we have in Ireland is we have a very negative attitude towards mental health services, and they're not everywhere. I'm going to be honest, they're not at my doorstep or knocking down the door to help. You have to go and find them. But I know that even in rural Ireland, there are some fabulous places that can help, and free of charge too, So an EAP program. A lot of people in corporate Ireland don't even know that they have an EAP program, employee assistance program. They don't even have the phone number stored in their phone book. They know where to get it.
Yeah.
They don't have it stored, And the other thing I say to people is go make that first call, because that first call is not the help that you're going to get. That first call is really just an admin call. Where do you work? Who do you work for? What is your staff number? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So reach out, get the support that you need, and educate yourself. And then the last pillar in the recovery model is self-advocacy. And what self-advocacy means is that you have the right to medical attention, but also the right medical attention. So a lot of the time, we'll go and see a therapist and maybe we don't get on with them. Change. Go and look for a second opinion. Yeah. You have that right. And you have the right to say, well, the medication is not agreeing with me. Yeah. I want to change it. But too many times we sit back and we say, well, the doctor told me to do that, so I'm going to do it. I didn't like it, so I stopped it. And I'm not going to go back and question them. Go back and question them. Go for a second opinion. So hope, personal responsibility, support, education, and self-advocacy is so vitally important in that well-being.
Thank you very much for that, Jacqui. I am just so grateful. There's so much that I've learned over the last 48 minutes that we've had. We've covered, different aspects of well-being. We've also discovered, aspects of where to find that small, courageous inner conversation to, get ourselves motivated, finding those practices. It can be anything. You can give yourself a small smile every day in the morning, or a high five. It can also be like just write a few. Like I absolutely loved one of my seniors. What she has done is she has had these very positive notes spread across their homes
Mhm.
for their little ones to go read.
Oh,
So
mine are everywhere.
exactly, because the thing is, a lot of time, if you forget, there should be something around, a message, positive, a note that you can see throughout the day. It is your subconscious mind that just keeps taking these, and it will be positive reinforcement for yourself to build that confidence. Like as we have discussed, baby steps till the quantum leap happens. For everyone that is watching this, right after this, is live stream ends, we have Jackie's details over here. You can, connect with her on, these um,
Different
links that
platforms.
are
Yeah.
mentioned. I'm also going to, leave down links and phone numbers to all the social help, things that Jackie has mentioned. And we're also going to make sure that I leave a link down to the book club so you all get connected. For the people that are watching this, which are outside Ireland, it is just one question. If you put down in Google social support or, well-being help or support for your country,
Mm.
you will have massive amount of communities that will show up. I can tell you,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you have to fight for yourself. You have to start taking those steps. You have to find that courage. You have to understand that your biggest dreams, your ambitions, your confident and fit self should always be on the foundation of your well-being.
Yeah.
I've seen people that are super confident, they're doing the best in their business, professional, personal life, but just because they don't figure out their well-being variable in their life, it can all come crashing down. We don't want that to happen. uh, Jackie, do you have any final messages for our audiences?
Well, it really start focusing on your mental health. Do things that I call them my tens. All right. So what are your tens in life? And if you look at your day, if I look back on my day today and I think, what did I do today? Did I top up my tank? So my tens would be meditation, journaling, making my gratitude list. So vitally important. And we all know that gratitude creates that state of well-being anyway. And it's such a fabulous help to be able to release negativity and actually form a better feeling of yourself. So I write in my gratitude journal. Then I do yoga. Mindful breathing is another form, mindfulness. So next time you go and put the kettle on to make a cup of tea, actually listen to the kettle boiling. You think I'm mad, but you know what? Just do it and stay in your breath. Focus on your breathing while you're listening to the kettle. Don't think about the emails that need to be sent or what's for dinner tonight or the kids or the grocery shop or anything like that. That'll be there still. So really just focus on your tens. What are your tens? And at least do one or two of them every single day. And we call that self-care. So what are you doing for your self-care every single day? And that tops up your mental well-being.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Thank you very much for watching this. For all the people that would be watching this later, I would really, really recommend that you get connected with Jackie. We've actually mentioned her email over here and also the website. She also is running a book club. Links will be shared in the details and description in the comment section below. If you have other questions and if you would want us to invite such other inspiring guests on our next On Point, stay connected. Leave your comments. We'll always be here to approve, also improve with your suggestions. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself being more importantly. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.